This is the new Porsche 911 Targa, which, after the coupe and cabriolet, is the third of the new generation 911 body shapes, and takes the asking price of a Porsche 911 from a basic £73,500 for a rear-wheel drive coupe to a whopping £98,500 for a Targa 4S Auto. But just in case you're worried about how much more you get for that extra money, I can assure you, you do get an extra 195 kilograms of car. Now that's an awful lot of extra weight. So we're going to take this 911 4S Targa out into some beautiful Italian countryside to see if that extra weight has blunted the 911's legendary sharpness. The Targa top was pioneered by Porsche in the late 60s. It started out as a concept to provide a rollover bar for a convertible car, that soon became a design in its own name. Named after the famous Targa Florio, where Porsche had so much success, it was generally accepted as a panel that went over the top of the driver's head. But in more recent 911s, it's been a glass top that slid into the rear screen and created this great big full glass roof. Now, however, we're back to basics. The Targa bar is back, and there's a very new way of storing that panel. Unfortunately, unlike most modern roofs, you can't do it while you're driving along. Now where's the fun in that, Porsche? So what exactly have we got here? Well, we've got a top-of-the-range Targa 4S with a 3.8 litre version of that famous boxer engine out the back. And that produces 400 horsepower, or to avid Evo viewers like yourself, 394 brake horsepower. I've gone for the 7-speed manual, a lovely manual gearbox, which has instantly saved me £2,500 and shed 20 kilos of that unwanted weight. Mind you, I've straight away spent the money I've saved on the Sports Plus package and, of course, the Sports exhaust. Well, you've got to, haven't you? So, one press on my Sport Plus button and everything comes alive. The suspension's stiffened up, the throttle sharper. It's even opened my exhaust pipes for me. And one other little trick it has when the Sport Plus is on is in this manual version, it auto blips on the downshift. I'm in second gear, slow right down, I'm going to have to first gear. It blipped for me. Here we go again, brake down to first, blips for you. And of course I don't really want it to do that. I like my heel and toe blipping down changes. Of course the electric steering is another thing that's been criticised on this new 911, but it's never really bothered me. I have to say, I get the feel I want. I can feel the front turning in, I can feel a little bit annoying understeer initially. Then with half throttle with the four-wheel drive again, it pushes the front before the rear begins to follow the nose. The trick, of course, with a lot of high-performance cars now is they have very tall gear ratios, so you find that when you're in the middle of a corner, you're right down at only about 2,000–3,000 revs. You can't go a lower gear, it's first gear, but that's actually needed on some hairpins. Hairpin right coming. Down a second. I have to go right down to first gear to get some punch in. Bring up the throttle. There, whoa! And again it pushed wide on the apex, and then finally when the power comes in, the back kicks out. So what about all that extra weight? We may have saved 20 with the manual gearbox, but that still means we're 175 kilograms heavier than the base coupe. To be honest, on these country roads, you can't really tell if that extra weight is holding you back. But the trouble is, you know it's holding you back. you know it's always restricting your acceleration, you know it's always slowing you into corners. And it niggles me, and it will always niggle me, that in fact the 0 to 62 time of this car is exactly the same as the coupe rear-wheel drive with only the 350 horsepower engine. So I've got an extra 50 horsepower, but I can't get to 62 any quicker. I like that extra weight because it's high up, so I've got a slightly higher centre of gravity as well as the extra weight. So it's actually got a lot working against it. Still, let's feel the chassis through these corners. And to do that, I think we'll put the traction off. We hardly need it on a dry road with four-wheel drive, that's for sure. Straight away, I feel the front pushing into corners. And also, just at 130 kilometres an hour, it's quite noisy with this Targa top off. I'm sure you can hear the wind noise rattling around. Despite the hole in the roof, the ride quality is absolutely stunning for a car of this performance edge. It takes some really horrible potholes without any scuttle shake, without really jarring the passenger. It's a well-sorted chassis. Unfortunately, for reasons that only the Porsche marketing department seem to understand, I can't save what would be another £5,000 or so by having a rear-wheel drive version. Now, I know that Henry and Dickie were very impressed with the four-wheel drive system and they drove it in recent Evo videos, but then they were out in very wet conditions. You get none of that out of this Italian sunshine. Let's face it, how often are you really going to need four-wheel drive to get you out of trouble, especially with the stability systems on modern rear-wheel drive cars? And of course, not having four-wheel drive would save you another 50 kilograms of weight that you don't really need. So what would I do if I was told I had to spend £100,000 on some fresh air motoring? Would I go for this Porsche Targa? Or perhaps the F-Type convertible, the Jaguar that would save me quite a lot of money? Perhaps an Audi R8 V8 Spider, and then that steering wheel with the bottom chopped off would always annoy me. Maybe a Maserati Gran Turismo. But no, none of those. I'd buy British and go for the Aston Martin V8 Roadster. Now that's a proper man's car. But of course, we'd love to hear your opinions as well. So subscribe to Evo and leave your comments below.